Okay, so you're thinking of standing on the highest point of the UK. Come with me, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 essential areas that I would like you to consider as you prepare to climb Ben Nevis, the highest point of the UK and the British Isles. Hi guys, my name is Ifeanyi and welcome to my channel. I make videos about my travels with a touch of history and also lifestyle vlogs. Thanks for stopping by. So I climbed Ben Nevis for the first time in May 2024, and I'm making this video because there are 5 things that I think stood out for me that I would like the next person to know as they prepare for their hike. So stay with me and please make it to the end of this video. You will like everything I put out. So the first thing is when to go. I went in May 2024 and I went in the very last week of May. The weather was perfect. We're just getting to spring. Winter delayed a bit and we're just getting to spring. The weather was perfect. I was lucky, and that day the weather was clear. The skies were clear. It didn't rain. But, you know, people have judged that the best time to go is anytime between May and September, when daylight hours are good and, you know, the likelihood of rainfall is just slightly lower. To be honest, it can rain at any time in the Scottish Highlands. The weather in Scottish Highlands is very unpredictable, but then people are generally advised to go between May and September. I went in May and I was lucky on that day. The weather was perfect. So tied to that is moving around within the Scottish Highlands. This was where I struggled, to be honest. I didn't find it very easy. Maybe because I now live in London and getting around in London, as you know, is very, very easy. So many options. Transport links are, way better, even though we'll complain. But then it was very challenging within the Scottish Highlands, you know, just moving from one point to another. You would need to, you know, when the buses are coming, the buses don't come as often, the trains don't come as often as well. But it's something that you just need to prepare far ahead of. If it's possible and you're able to, I would say rent a car. But if that's not possible, don't worry about it. I went there without a car and I still managed to get by, even though it was difficult. So this is just a heads up, depending on what your transportation options are. If you're going to rely on public transportation, then just heads up, prepare much earlier, have a look at the charts much earlier, and hopefully you'll be fine. But then keep your mind open. Don't expect too much from the public transport links, but then you'll be fine. But it was difficult, but you'll be fine. I wasn't going to allow anything spoil my hiking weekend. That was the mindset I went with. And even when I missed a train, I was on the train, I got off at the wrong stop. And after that train, that was the last train of the evening. And there was no way I was going to go back. So I had to take a taxi, and getting back en route cost me about £40. So taxis within the Scottish Highlands, I found them to be much more expensive. And of course there's no Uber, so you have to look for the local taxis. And then it was getting around, it wasn't so easy, but nothing was going to spoil my hiking weekend. So it's something that I'd like you to know. The second thing is the accommodation. So I stayed on a campsite. I stayed in a log pod on a campsite. And that's because I found that the lodges within Fort William, first of all, I found them to be a bit pricey. Pricey is relative, I understand, but I found them to be a bit pricey, and also they were not even available. So, and the reason for that is that there are so many hiking routes that are around Fort William, and you know, there's Ben Nevis, there's the West Highland Way, there are tons of hiking routes that somehow pass through Fort William. So there's a lot of pressure on their lodges, their hotels and guest houses. Some of the lodges stay booked all year round, no space. And when I got to Fort William, I understood why. So you need to consider booking accommodation outside, at the villages outside of Fort William, and on the day of your hike, you commute to Fort William for your hike. I stayed in a village called Roybridge. It's a very beautiful, lovely village, and I stayed on a campsite in a log pod in Roybridge. Yes, that's where I stayed, and it was amazing. The log pod cost about £60 a night, and it was okay. The bathroom was shared. If it's not your thing, I understand, but to be honest, it wasn't bad. And it was the first time I was staying on a campsite in a log pod. So I was super excited and I had a good time. Like I said, just keep an open mind. Nothing should spoil your mind about the trip. You're there to enjoy the beautiful earth and landscape that's called the Scottish Highlands. So that was my mindset. Yeah. And then moving on to the third, fitness levels. Ben Nevis will test your legs. Ben Nevis will test your endurance. Ben Nevis will test your resolve to climb Ben Nevis. To be honest, I pray that on the day you're climbing Ben Nevis, the weather is all bright and beautiful, just so that you could be rewarded with the breathtaking views. The views just make you worth it. Trust me, your legs will be burning, but then when you're looking up and seeing just how it feels like you're in a movie, it feels like not even a movie, it feels like I can't even to be honest, I can't describe everything I was feeling. I was like, wow, I was just taking it all in. Landscapes of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful highlands. So my hope for you is that on the day you're climbing, the skies are beautiful, the weather is clear, no cloud cover, just so that you can enjoy the topography as you climb. Now, back to the fitness conversation. If you are not physically fit, then you have to get to the gym. You have to be climbing stairs. Stop taking lifts. Stop taking the elevators. Climb the stairs. Because to be honest, being on the Stairmaster will just simulate what it feels like to climb Ben Nevis. So just keep climbing stairs for as long as you can. If possible, get on the Stairmaster and be on the Stairmaster for at least 45 minutes at a time or 30 minutes, but just keep pushing, because that's exactly what it feels like. And then this is something that it took me about 4.5 hours to get to the peak of Ben Nevis and around 3 hours to come back. It was amazing, don't get me wrong, but then when I was climbing Ben Nevis, honestly, there were a few people that suffered from pulling their hamstrings. They were in pain. Some people couldn't walk because of how sore they were. So to be honest, it's nothing out of the ordinary, but you just need to build some fitness level in preparation for your climb of Ben Nevis. The Ben Nevis hike is judged moderate to challenging. I agree with that, because even as a novice, you can climb Ben Nevis. Anybody can climb it. That's the truth. But then there's a physical aspect of it. You just need to know that, you have to be ready for it. Okay. And then on that day, you would be hitting about 45,000 steps, depending on where you start walking. If you start from the base of the camp, then you might be doing like 35,000 to 42,000 steps. But because I started my walk from the train station at Fort William, I hit about 45,000 steps that day. 45,000 steps in one day, trust me. And then elevation, it's rewarding. Trust me, it's rewarding, but then the physical aspect of it is also testing. So it's something you need to know. If you're not physically fit, then get on the Stairmaster. The fourth thing I need you to know is your nutrition and hydration. So you can imagine climbing to the peak for 4.5 hours, getting to the peak in 4.5 hours and then coming back in another 2.5, 3 hours. I mean, your body is going to be needing a lot. So take as much water as you can carry, take as much healthy food as you can carry. Everything you know that gives you energy and makes you feel good, I advise you to take it, okay? Chocolate, because to be honest, I didn't know this part, but chocolate has in anti-inflammatory properties, and it's something that you might want to consider. Not maybe chocolate with not as maybe like 75% chocolate content. So yeah, but chocolate is highly advisable to take so that it suits your whatever soothing effect it has. So every good food that makes you feel good and gives you loads of energy, I advise you to take it. And the good thing is that, you know, set out early so that you can have rest in between, just have a good time as you climb. Take as many breaks as you want as you're climbing, because it is physically challenging. Yeah, so nutrition and hydration has to be on point. Then the last one is your gear. I can't stress this enough. You need the appropriate gear. So starting from layers. Like I said, the entire Scottish Highlands, the weather can be very unpredictable. The weather changes very abruptly. So, and then another important thing that I need you to know is that the temperature difference between the base where you start and the top can differ by at least 10 degrees. So you might start out feeling good and the weather feels great. There are parts of the peak that stays covered in snow all year round. So this is something that you need to consider, that is going to be freezing at the peak all year round, regardless of when you go. And so you need to be prepared. Take windbreakers, take layers. To be honest, when I started at the peak, I was just wearing a t-shirt and my gym pants. And then as I made my way up, just after the waterfall, there's a beautiful, just calming waterfall. I drank from it. There's a waterfall that marks halfway of the Ben Nevis hike. Just after the waterfall, I noticed that the temperature started dipping and I need to start just putting on my layer. So you take your backpack. I had my backpack and with all your stuff in it. So gloves, windbreakers, layers, you know, warm clothing, you know, you'll need it, you know, because it gets freezing really as you go. And then another thing is the shoes. Your footwear is so important. And I like to say, if you're buying shoes for the first time, you need to wear them before the hike. Okay, don't buy shoes and it's the first day of your hike you're testing it. That's dangerous. So I've heard different people say this, and it was what I did as well. So when you buy your hiking shoes, wear just something it doesn't have to be super expensive. It doesn't have to be, you know, super techy, and no, you don't need it. Ben Nevis is not a mountaineering. No, there are different routes of the Ben Nevis. I must say that the route I'm talking about is the tourist route. There's a route that is specifically for mountain climbers and experienced hikers, those ones that need ice axes and special gear. And, you know, in fact, I can remember when I got to the peak of Ben Nevis, and there was a part I looked and I literally saw people who were doing the vertical climb. I was like, no way, this is crazy. So the part of Ben Nevis I'm talking about is a part that is a tourist route that anyone can climb. Yeah, so on this part you need good proper hiking shoes, but don't sweat it. It doesn't have to be anything out of this world. Your regular hiking shoes will be fine. To be honest, when I was going, I bought maps, I bought all kinds of things. I bought a whistle, I bought all kinds of first aid gadgets and all of that. To be honest, well, it's good to have one, but you don't absolutely need to, unless you are sure you're going to be climbing Ben Nevis at a time when nobody climbs it, maybe late at night or very early in the morning. I'm not even sure if they allow that, but if you're going to go at the regular times everyone goes very early in the morning, as from maybe 6 7 a.m., then you don't even need all of that. The path is well labeled, and there will always be people on the tourist route, and you'll be fine. And then lastly, you need hiking poles. I thought I didn't need hiking poles, but I took one, and at the end of the day, that one saved me until it broke. Yeah, so the hiking poles are very supportive, and if you're an experienced climber, maybe not, maybe, but I would say if it's your first 1,000 meters mountain that you're climbing, and depending on your fitness level, I'm physically fit, to be honest, but hiking poles were helpful for me, because at some point I needed support. But so these are the 5 areas that I would say stood out for me, and I'm hoping that you've taken 1 or 2 things that will help you as you prepare to climb Ben Nevis. If you've enjoyed this video, there are other videos I've made about my travels to Scotland, and I think that you'll find them interesting as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.